And we're live.
Greetings, I'm Dr. Al Freeman, Director of LCMS School Ministry. Welcome to Finance Friday. In fact, Will, this is the last one in our series for this school year.
I know, it's gone by so fast, right?
It really has. Yeah, the school year's quickly approaching a close here. And watch for next year, as we'll have another series once a month.
Season 3 coming up.
It is, and we're working on what those will be as we speak. So we'll roll those out coming over the next few weeks here. So please look for those as well. And we have a great one to end our series with, as we have all about enrollment and marketing your school today. And with that, we have Katie Gaeta, who is at the Marketing and Admissions Director at Green Park Lutheran School here in St. Louis. I've known Katie for a while. The great work that she's doing at Green Park. When I was the education executive in the Missouri district, Green Park, watching the amazing things that were happening there and continue to happen there. And especially, Katie's background with advertising, media, communications, working in so many different areas with that and having a presence outside of schools with that too, and then bringing that expertise to schools. And I know it'll be great today to have Katie with us and talk about what may help in your role as a marketing admissions, if you're a principal, a pastor, whatever the case may be, but to help our school ministries so that we don't hear the language of, wow, we're the best kept secret. Everybody tells us that. But instead, you are well known and well positioned to be that shining light of an educational ministry in your community. So with that, let me open us in prayer, and then I'll turn it over to Katie after that. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for this wonderful and glorious day. We give you thanks for our Lutheran schools and all of our Lutheran ministries as they spread your precious gospel message. We give you thanks for Katie and her willingness to be with us and to serve and to share her expertise and talents and gifts so that it helps the community at large for our Lutheran schools to be known and to be that shining light in their community and beyond as they do your work, as they are educational ministries of excellence. We ask that you be with all of us today as we go through this session. Help us, guide us, allow us to have this time of fellowship and gathering and learning so that it serves you in our ministries. We ask that you be with us in all that we do at all times and that we do all to your glory. In your son's name, amen. So if you do happen to have questions as Katie presents here, feel free to add those to chat or Facebook. Will Van, you see here, is monitoring both of those or all of our platforms for any questions that you may have. And I'm sure we'll have some time at the end as well for questions or discussion. All set, Katie? It's all you.
I am. Can I go ahead and share my screen on here?
You can.
Okay. Let me get to where we need to be. Let's go to screen 2. Okay, can you see that screen?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay, hang on. Let's try that again.
There we go.
Okay, and let me get back
Perfect.
here. Awesome. Are you seeing only the green presentation?
We are.
Okay, awesome. Let me just open up one more thing on my side and I will be set. Nope, not that, not that.
And as Al said, we are monitoring chat. So if you're on X, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, Instagram, you name it.
I didn't know we were on Rumble.
I am watching all of those areas. So if you have questions, please feel free to drop those in chat and we'll always be able to get those answered for you. And if you're not following LCMS Schools, make sure you are following at LCMS Schools. We're closing out Teacher Appreciation Week as well. So I think a great way to do that with this.
That's right. Yeah, we've had a lot of fun with Teacher Appreciation Week and continue to look on Facebook. I know we've had some giveaways and we value all who work and do ministry in our Lutheran schools. So it's been a great week for that too.
Awesome. Thank you. Today we're going to be talking about marketing with a mission, standing out without selling out, and some strategies for Lutheran schools to shine in a competitive market. So let me tell you about one of my favorite movies, Forrest Gump. In that, there's a quote, everybody thinks it's life is like a box of chocolates. It's actually life was like a box of chocolates. So I'm going to take you back to about 6.5 years ago. It was a cold, rainy November day. I was a stay-at-home mom watching my kids, and I was also watching some other people's kids out of my house. And we needed to get out. So I did possibly the worst kind of Google search, things to do in St. Louis today, free with kids. I clicked on a mom page and scrolled through a few options that popped up. And one of them that came up was a stay and play at Green Park Lutheran School. I saw it and I said, yep, this is it. We're going. We're getting out of this house. I thought if it's great, then we just found something new to do on some Thursday mornings. And if it's terrible, it's free and it's a free open gym, so we can just leave. We went and no surprise, it was awesome. My kiddos played and we had a great time. At the next one I went to in January, I spoke to the person who was running the event, and she had asked me if I had considered any preschool options yet. And truth be told, I hadn't. My daughter was 4, but we hadn't really thought about what we were going to do. So she told me that I could take a tour and check it out. And I was like, oh, but we're not Lutheran. I grew up Catholic. And so for us, it was like, oh, okay. I mean, I didn't even consider Green Park as an option. Not that it was a bad school or anything. I didn't know anything about it. So she reassured me. She said I didn't have to be Lutheran to go there, to my relief and surprise. Growing up Catholic, it was pretty much Catholic or bust in our school. So that was a surprise to me. So we toured, and honestly, by the end of that single tour, I didn't have to think about it any longer. I was sold. So we were a week later enrolled for JK4 at Green Park Lutheran School. You'll see there, that was me, my sister, and 2 of my best friends that we brought all those little kids to Green Park Stay and Play. I'm sure they didn't know it hit them at that time. So we enrolled my oldest daughter, Zoe, in JK4. And then in the fall of 2018, a position opened up for the marketing and admissions director at Green Park. I knew it was something that I was more than qualified to do, but time constraints said otherwise. And so I dismissed it. I saw it on our bulletin that week and for 2 weeks, and then it disappeared. And I thought it wasn't meant to be. A couple weeks later, it was back in our bulletin, and I thought, that's interesting. Wonder why that is. So I went to another stay and play, and I spoke to somebody who was running the stay and play at the time. It was our development director. As it turned out, because this is a small Lutheran world that we live in, even though I wasn't Lutheran at the time, she was best friends with my cousin. And then when she found out I had a degree in media communications, marketing and advertising, she said, you need to talk to the principal. And I said, I have seen the work that this person had done. And I said, it seemed like she was up here a lot. And she said, that some of that's parent volunteer and some of that is her job, but you should talk to the principal. By the end of that stay and play, I was sitting there in all of my mom garb and all of my little people around me talking to the principal about potential job at Green Park. He said he had one other person interested, but to send my resume in. So spoiler alert, January 2019, I was hired. I started in January. And because God has a sense of humor, naturally, a month later, I got pregnant with my twins. So that made babies 4 and 5 for us. So if I didn't think I had time before, I certainly didn't have time now, but it was too late for that decision. I was already working at Green Park and I was going to embrace it. So for the past 6.5 years, I have worked at Green Park, and now all of my little people are here at Green Park with me. All 5 of my kids are here. So I've got Zoe in 6th, Finn in 4th, Emma in 1st, and then my twins, Allie and Max, are in our JK4 program. My point in telling you that long-winded story is that it is about the stories behind the people. You never truly know what single interaction you're going to have with a potential family. I'm 100% positive when the current marketing and admissions director at the time, when she was working here, when she talked to me about potentially taking a tour at Green Park, not a chance in the world did she think that that was going to result in enrolling 5 children and having a person ultimately one day fill her role when she moved on to a role at another Lutheran school in our area. So like I said, life is like a box of chocolates. Life was like a box of chocolates. You don't really know what you're going to get. So that brings us to marketing and furthermore, how it works and what we do. We know in Lutheran schools, we have a lot of challenges. We are in a saturated market, and we need to know the importance of a strong values-aligned presence. We are in competition with public schools, charter schools, online schools, private secular schools, other religious schools. So we're not only in competition truly with those other schools, we're in competition with each other. So like it is a concept of community over competition, and value that. Value those other Lutheran schools in your area because there is strength in numbers. When we see other schools in our area closing, other private schools that aren't Lutheran, our heart goes out to them and we're pretty sad for them. But we also know that for us, there is strength in our Lutheran schools. One of the reasons we chose Green Park is because we had a friend going to another Lutheran school in the area, and she said, the Lutheran schools know what's up. They know what they're doing, and you should check it out. She and I had both gone to Catholic school together. We'd gone to high school together. At this current juncture, she is also working at a local Lutheran school. So there's power in that message, in that word of mouth. But at the end of the day, we are all in competition, whether we want to admit it or not. And that whole former mindset of if you build it, they will come no longer really works. Once upon a time, my position as marketing and admission director, it didn't exist because it didn't need to, but that's not the world we live in any longer. Simply existing like our previous generations of Lutheran schools did is just not really enough for us anymore. I know that probably some people listening would say, you know, like, hey, we still don't have that position. The principal's filling that role, or maybe a development director is also filling that role. But the ones that do exist, they exist for a reason. The educational landscape has changed and evolved. And honestly, if we don't evolve with it, we're going to become irrelevant. We will become extinct. So we have to find ways to stand out, but also without compromising our identity. A lot of times people ask me on tours, you know, like, what's different, or why are you guys thriving? Because I see other schools closing. And so it's our job to differentiate with a purpose. We want to stay true to our Lutheran mission and values, though. We are never to lose sight of that. We need a strong values-aligned presence. And that comes from a clear and consistent bit of communication about who we are and truly what we stand for. I mean, we have a powerful story if we tell it well. We have Christ-centered education. We have academic excellence. We have an authentic community. That's speaking on behalf of Green Park, but probably a lot of other Lutheran schools out there can tell that same story. But if we don't tell that story, people aren't going to know it exists. We're just another school that they pass by here and there in the community. So we don't want to risk being overlooked, even by the families that we are truly best suited to serve. So it's our job to communicate that. But truly, this presentation is more than just marketing tactics. It's understanding, you know, like what that mission-driven communication is. So, you know, what your strongest tool is for growth, the keys to building deep connections with your families or with your potential families, and how those opportunities exist. And it's truly, you know, marketing is essential for long-term sustainability. We're going to talk about what sets us apart. So I think as a Lutheran school, we need to ask ourselves rather, what makes us different from all the competition? We share strengths in our Lutheran schools. When families come in for a tour, almost every single time I will say, especially if they're looking at other Lutheran schools, I'll say, no matter what Lutheran school you choose, you are going to get a great education. And I say that with confidence because I truly believe it. I know people at those other schools, and they are good Christ-centered people who are getting an excellent, rigorous education. So I say it with confidence, and it's not because I want to drive people to other schools. Obviously, we want nothing more than people, you know, like coming to our school. But we know that we can say that because we know that we as Green Park have things that set us apart from other schools. But what we're looking for and what you should be looking for, in my opinion, is what your goal is finding the right fit for your school. So that's staff, that's parents, that's families. Culture matters. We're in a kind of time and day and age for our school that we are really looking deep at our culture, what it means, what it looks like for us, and how we can embrace that. It matters for every family. So if they are not the right fit for us, we do have the right to turn people away. But we want to make sure they understand why they might not be the right fit, if they're not the right fit. We want people to know that we are a Christ-centered school, and there's Christ-centered excellence here. We have an intentional community. So we are not just willy-nilly out here doing whatever we want. We are very intentional about our interactions. But your differentiation for your school or your organization should be exactly that, differentiated. It should not be what Green Park is doing. I literally have a list I could pull up right now of 27 things, a list that I made recently that sets our school apart. But it doesn't matter because that's what sets Green Park apart. So it's your strengths, your audience, and your culture that are unique to you, and that's what you need to capitalize on. I am on this kind of journey of always looking out for what we can do better. How, as I like to say, how can we get more little people to heaven is the ultimate goal, right? And so how can we do that, and how can our marketing reflect that? So conduct a strengths and weaknesses chart. I mean, it can be a very basic chart for you and your organization, but what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? And be brutally honest with yourself. Sit down with your principals, or if you are a principal in this role, sit down with the people who are decision makers, whether it's your board chairperson or your seasoned teachers. Find out what are your strengths and weaknesses, and ask families, straight up ask people, why did you choose Green Park? We want to know what led you to that decision, because ultimately we need to capitalize on that. I had a family come through who they are enrolled here now, but they were between us and another school. And they're a pastor's family. And so they were going to get a larger discount elsewhere, but they chose our school because of how they felt. They had a red carpet moment, basically. And they referred somebody else to our school. And he said, I just know you're going to give them the red carpet treatment like you gave us. And I kind of laughed at that to myself, because I thought, oh my gosh, I didn't do anything different for a pastor's family. I just did what we always do. But that shows that it was so meaningful what we're doing. People feel like we're really catering to them. But keep a running list of that feedback. What do people frequently praise? And then what do people often question or complain about? And that's your current families too. This is not just families that are potentially seeking out your school. This is your current families too, and you need to listen to that, because retention is just as important in this marketing effort as anything else. So just always be asking yourself what we can do better. So one of the things that I've learned, I am also a photographer. So on the side, because I have all the extra time in the world, I'm also a photographer with my own photography business, but that bleeds right into Green Park. And so a lot of those tactics that I use in my photography business, I also use here. Something that I learned years and years ago was to build know, like, and trust with your families and with your potential families. We are boldly a private Christian Lutheran school. Those words come out of my mouth in every single tour. I need people to understand that at the core of who we are is a Christ-centered education. I don't want anyone walking away from a tour thinking, oh, I mean, maybe there's some religious aspects. Maybe they have a religion class. No, I want them to know we live it, we breathe it. I go into telling them about how we interact with each other as staff, how we interact with the children, how we expect them to interact with each other. So we do not hide it. We just embrace it. Sometimes people will come in with some politically charged questions, very pointed, very specific questions. And so our job is to listen. Sometimes people have different values. So we need to find out what is important to them. Listen from the first point of contact, because what values to them is your most valuable insight in gaining a family at your school. If they've reached out to you, they value something you do. It might be that they value that you are 1 block away from where they live, but it's your job to sell them on the rest. Families value a lot of things. They value faith-based learning. They value rigorous academics, small class sizes, engaged community, STEM, sports, and more, but truly none of it matters without that trust. So we are building people's trust in our messaging. And among that know, like, and trust, you're not just selling the features of your school. You truly need to build a relationship. That's one of the things that people say when they come into Green Park. It just felt right. It felt home. It felt like home. It felt like where I wanted to be. So we know by that point, when they're coming in for the first time, potentially on a tour, we have already started to begin to build that know, like, and trust. Every single interaction that a potential family or a current family has with their school is vital. We need to understand that an in-person experience doesn't compare to what we have on social media. It doesn't compare to the billboard or the banner on the side of the building. Those matter. Those impressions matter because they say it takes, 7 times of being exposed to a brand to act on it, to buy. And so, our buyer is ultimately the family who enrolls. But that first point of contact, whether again, it's, a sign on the side of your building or a sign in someone's yard, people need to know that we are a trustworthy place and we are who we say we are. The message that we're putting out has to reflect who we truly are in person, or it's all for naught, because what will happen is you will get a family and they will leave because they felt duped. They felt like the message that you were giving out was just a sales tactic. And I don't know about you guys, but I am not a used car salesman and I don't intend to be. I want to veer as far away from that as possible. So truly our idea at Green Park is get them on campus. Number one, get them on campus. So we do some events, we do some things that allow people to come onto campus, but we always want to personalize the experience. That is incredibly important. When people feel like the red carpet was rolled out for them, they feel special. And that's the goal. We want them to feel special. After every single tour, every single person gets a personalized thank you note. Sometimes I wonder if people open these notes and are like, this woman has written so many things here. I can't even believe it. But I want them to feel special. I want them to feel like they can trust us. And if we're going to take the time to hand write a note to them, that makes a difference for them. So those thoughtful follow-ups and after tours and events, people really do value that. We have a phrase that we use kind of as our motto at Green Park. And it's known, loved, valued. This goes right back to know, like, and trust. We came up with this slogan, motto, whatever you want to call it, a couple years back. And it all came out of a conversation that I had with somebody who we have on retainer as our graphic designer. So though I do have a background in marketing and advertising, I am not a graphic designer. But we have somebody who's been with us kind of for a really long time. And he said to me one day, you guys are you kind of have an identity crisis. And I was a little taken back because we're very friendly, and he wasn't trying to come at me, but he was offering constructive criticism. Take the constructive criticism. He said that and I was like, we got to figure this out. He said, every year you guys have a different email signature. Every year you guys are putting out something different on your website. It's a different message. We do put out a different message still every year in terms of our marketing message, but this one stays. And so this one aligns with our mission and vision that we currently have. I'm going to tell you a little story about why I have, from the very beginning, felt known, loved, and valued at Green Park. I just didn't have the words for it at the time. As a parent, one day I went to pick up my little Zoe in her junior kindergarten 4 classroom, and I let the administrative assistant at the time know that we would be, that my father-in-law would be picking her up at the end of the day. And I didn't tell her his name. And she said, oh, okay, we'll make sure that Joe gets her. And I thought, we are here 2 half days. How do you know my father-in-law's name? You're not even looking at a document right now. It was just a conversation. And I felt so seen in that moment that a family that we were brand new, we were only there 2 half days, they knew us. That felt special to us. That was a huge selling point for us. We launched into COVID in 2020 to everyone's dismay. And during that time, again, my poor little Zoe, she was in 1st grade doing Zoom calls with her teacher. And I was busy with those 6-month-old twins. And I get a text from her teacher and we worked together. So we were on a texting basis and she said, hey, if you have a minute later, I'd love to get on a Zoom with Zoe just to chat. She sounded a little distraught earlier. And I thought, oh my gosh, what did Zoe send to her teacher? So I get on her little iPad that they sent home with the kids, and I play the message that she has sent her teacher, and it is, Miss Meyer, I don't know what I'm doing. And she was distraught. And I was like, oh no, what have I done here? What have I done? So I am expecting, her teacher to, have a few choice words for me later, and maybe to go over this lesson that Zoe didn't know what she was doing with. But in the end, that wasn't the case. It is hard for me to this day, 6.5 years later, or 7 years later, to tell this story, because it still touches me so much. She got on the Zoom with my daughter, and she literally just said, I just wanted to check in. I just wanted to see that Zoe's doing okay. And I thought, I will never leave this place. As long as I have kids, I cannot leave this place where I feel so known and loved and valued. I could not believe that this teacher, who had 26 other kids that she was dealing with in that first grade class on Zooms, that she took the time to sit there with my daughter, not for schoolwork, but for a check-in, just a mental health check-in. And a mom with 5 kids sitting at home, I mean, there's nothing more valuable than that. And here we are at the next point in my slide. People don't buy for logical reasons, they buy for emotional reasons. Here we are. I am living proof of that. I found out early on that I am certainly buying on emotion. Obviously, logically, I wanted all the things that Green Park has to offer, but in the end, it was my emotions that played a big part. I saw a community that was involved. I saw faith-based education. I saw what felt like a small town feel. So when you're looking at this, I'm not saying your strategy or your motto should be known, loved, valued. It definitely shouldn't. That's ours. That would be weird. But find what very easily and simply describes your way of life and sets you apart. You will find that I talk a lot about simplicity and minimalism, because it works. So this teeny tiny little phrase, this known, loved, valued, is everything that we are. We talk to our kids about this. They are known by God first and foremost. They are loved by God and our teachers first and foremost. They are valued here. We want the families to feel that. We want our staff to feel that. We want our students to feel that every single day. We will live it. We will breathe it. It is who we are. So my advice is find out what works for you and what sets you apart. It is incredibly valuable to have your staff fully understanding what that means. These shirts that we have on these pictures, our kids wear these on field trips. So every field trip they go on, they are wearing these shirts. On the front, it says known, loved, valued, and it has our mascot, which is a Viking, behind it. And then you can't see the back of the shirt, but it says established 1961 on the back, with the LCMS cross. We want to be walking through the zoo, and we want people to say, that's how kids from a Lutheran school behave. We want people to see, like, that is the value of a Christian education. These kids are well behaved. These kids are with their parents are paying attention. We are all representing our brand. And so we want that to be seen wherever we are. So you'll see them on our Faith Family Days, and you'll see them on our staff, on our Spirit Wear Fridays, as well as, like I said, on field trips. So it is a way of life for us. It's not just a little catchphrase. So we have some what we call smart strategies that work for us. But again, I'm always going to encourage you to see what works best for you, because what works best for us might not be what works best for you. But some things that we've had success with, some high level things. Yard signs. It's so simple, but it's so easy, and they can be reused. And I'll go into that in a little bit, but they are low cost and they have high return on investment. We have them for our kiddos who are coming in as brand new families. So any kindergarten families that are coming into us, and then any transfer students, they all get a yard sign that says welcome, and then our school name. And then a full circle moment is when they get these congrats graduate yard signs. And they can kind of do that side by side with their picture and then tag us on social media. And then we also do it for open house. So all our families, if they choose to have an open house sign in their yard, can have it. Every single staff member gets one for their yard, and then we place them around the community. It's a really easy way to get our name out there, and for people to have that be maybe even the first point of contact. That might be one of those 7 points that we interact with someone before they purchase. Website updates. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to have a website that works and a website that has consistency. If you are updating consistently, your website will bump higher and higher on the Google search results and on any search engine results. When you have pictures that are changing on your website, when you have content and copy on your website that is being updated, Google sees that. And when they're crawling the websites, they see the machine that is Google sees that your website is frequently updated, so it populates you higher on the totem pole for search results. Keep it clean, keep it updated, keep it relevant. Every now and then I'll find something and I'm like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. That has been on our website. That picture's been on our website for 2 years, and then this child has graduated. Like, we don't want that, so we always want to be updating it. If you had an event that went by, time to take it off, and unless you're kind of doing a follow-up with it, but let it go. But keep it updated. The other one is social media engagement. Social media could probably have a whole presentation in itself. Social media is a beast, but activity begets activity. So when you are on social media and you are interacting with your followers on social media, they see you more. They're going to interact with you more, and they're going to see you more. So when we have people commenting on our posts like we did here, we want to respond. So if it's just like cute, yeah, you can respond to that. I mean, you don't have to, but you can. But sometimes people take the time, like you could see here, to write a whole sentence out and include some emojis and took the time. Respond. People want to know that you value their responses. If you value their responses and they get interaction, they feel good about that. You're building that know, like, and trust in that very moment. So when people come to our website before they've even toured with us, they can see that we have an active social media presence, and they can kind of get a feel for our school before they have their first interaction with us. Sometimes we have students coming in for shadow days and they say, we know we scrolled all through your social media. We know they're going to have a great day here because we've seen a lot of the things that you guys are doing. It is a quick way to, quick and free mostly, to put out there little tidbits about your school. Dreaming big on a budget. We are fans of reduce, reuse, and recycle. You don't have to have, old beat up things out there in the world, but reuse and be creative where you can. Be good stewards of your school's financial situation. You don't have to have a $2,500 billboard sitting right there on the highway to be an effective school. Use your school as a billboard. That picture down there on the left, that's our stay and play event. The one that I came to as a mom, the whole reason that we came to Green Park, that banner. That gets your attention. I found it online, but that same concept applies. That goes on the side of our building. We have banners for our stay and play. We have banners that say enroll now. We have banners that are for open house. They're put up there at different times of the year, maybe much to our maintenance guy's chagrin, but he does it with a smile, truly. But it's a free billboard for us in terms of space. Now, it's not free in that we pay $600 for these, but I'm not paying $600 every year for a new banner. So what we do, like in this case, little Danica will stay up there for probably 2 to 3 years, but not all at once. We'll take that banner down, put it back up, but we will get a banner patch and put it over those dates and reuse year over year. We do the same with open house. Just make sure whatever you're doing is done well and it's not done tacky. Work with a graphic designer, work with a company. If it looks tacky, people are going to notice it. If your sign gets so faded that, like the kids' faces are totally washed out, time for a new banner, right? So like, be logical about it, but don't waste your money if you don't have to. I could spend, $1,200 every 2 years, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to see where we can reuse. Same with those yard signs. I do think it's valuable to update your signs, but here we are again. I like minimalist. I like a clean message. You have such a short time frame for people to see your message. You don't have time to have a whole lot of items on that. So we want to convey who we are. We're always going to have our cross on there to convey that on those signs, and then our Viking head too. The signs, again, we do the welcome, the graduate, and the open house, but we reuse those. So we tell families, hey, if you don't need those, send them on back. We'll take them back from you. Bring them into school when you come in next. And if you keep it, that's totally fine. If you want to keep it hanging in your garage or at your house, fine by us. We don't need them back. They're not that expensive, but if we can reuse them for a year or two, we're gonna do that. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to reach out to your community and see who has what that you can beg, borrow, and steal, or how you can barter. The barter system is truly an amazing one. Here in these pictures, I'm showing you two from the local parade that we do. It's a Chamber of Commerce that puts the parade on. So the white truck is our lunch and childcare director's truck, and they let us put our Green Park magnets all over it. Get to remove them right after the parade. We also get to hand those magnets out to people. So they're seeing it on the truck. They're like, what is going with that truck? We get to hand them one of our magnets right there. Also during that parade, it's a good opportunity to save some money. I like to joke that I am maybe one of the cheapest marketing directors you might find, because I do like to reuse and I do like to be creative. But just spend it wisely. So we had some stay and play flyers that we were going to give out. So what better place to hand those out than a parade where there's little kids? That's exactly who we want to attract to our stay and plays. You never know what one interaction is going to be the mom who starts working at the school who has 5 kids going to that school. Same with that trailer there. That is one of our parents' trailers. They work for Colonel Landscaping. So under that green fringe there, it says Colonel Landscaping. On the other side, it still says Colonel. So they're getting advertising. So are we. We're building that community, and we're really thankful for those resources. Another one of our parents has a photo booth that they do. So we often get a free photo booth for our events because we've built that up. So of course we're touting them and they're touting us. So it's a win-win on both ends. Just be creative and see who you can reach out to. I mentioned already, I'm a photographer. So all of our nice looking pictures on our website, I took them. I want it to look polished. I want it to look clean. I want it to look enticing. Now there's going to be some pictures out there that were, like a quick, somebody won the spelling bee or something like that. That might just be a cell phone picture. That's okay. But the ones that you're really showcasing your school, make it worth it, and maybe you don't have a photographer, but maybe that's an expense that you take on because you don't have one, but maybe you do have a parent who's a graphic designer or something else. Okay, be open to change. And that is probably so hard for so many people. I know it's hard for me. I'm a creature of habit. I think we all are. But be open to constructive criticism, be open to change, and figure out what works and what doesn't. Be adaptable. The shirts on the left are our field day shirts from 2020 to 2021 school year. They were busy, not as busy as some of our shirts have been in the past, but we found that after we did this shirt, we didn't really see people wearing it outside of field day. So we were like, well, maybe we need to change it up because we want people wearing our gear. We want people representing our school. So a few years later, we came up with a design on the right, and we've used that design for probably, I want to say, I guess 4 years now. And the reason we've continued to use it is because parents shouted it from the mountaintops. They were like, we love these shirts. These are so good. They're so simple. They're not too busy. They convey exactly what's going on. It's Green Park. We have Lutheran on the front, so we don't have our cross on there, but we have Lutheran. So kids wear these. Kids wear these on our Spirit Wear days. Kids wear these, to hang out with their friends when they're going to the park. So it's just a simple example of be adaptable. If it's not working, if it's not serving you well, whatever the it is, change it. It's okay to change it. It's okay to try something and have it totally flop, because that's how you learn. Keep notes on what you can do differently next time. Be where your people are. So that's in person, that's online. It's like the phrase, like, I want to be where the people are, like in Little Mermaid. Like that is what you need to embrace. Be at your churches, be in your community. If you have a whole slew of parents whose kids play hockey, be at the hockey rink. Whether that's your signage, whether that's your relationships that you're building, be there. Put your posters up there, put your brochures up there. Engage parents where they are. If you have parents who are super interested in whatever other hobby, like be where they are. Be at the events, be at the Lutheran events that are around your area. This is from Brew in the Lou here in St. Louis. It's a big event that Lisa puts on. That's LESA, that they put on for our community. That's huge for us. That's huge exposure. And it's just reaffirming to people that already know about the Lutheran schools that we are here and we are to be seen. Engage people where they are. So that's online too. So join the mom groups or the parent groups if you're a male in this situation. You can see what they're doing online. Check out the local the local pages. Do that weird Google search to find moms in St. Louis, things to do in St. Louis. That's what I would search. Obviously, you search for your area. But find out where the people are and keep your ear to the ground. Find out what your parents are doing, what their interests are, and where they're hanging out. Also visit other schools. I cannot even begin to tell you the value in this. I have visited several schools in our area, and it is mind-blowing to just breathe it in and to see what they're doing at other schools and to find out what you might be missing. Follow other schools too. Don't just follow Lutheran school pages. Follow the Catholic schools, follow the high schools, follow some public schools if you can, just to see what they're doing and where you could be changing. We made this little video. I think you guys can hear it. Okay, so super simple, right? That was just some footage that I took with my cell phone during one of our stay and plays. But we get to reuse, reduce, recycle. We're gonna reuse that video for the next stay and play that we have. People love some video online. They love they love a social media post, but they love it even more if there's a visual to it. So find out what you could take videos of and just run with it and see what you can kind of recap from an event. Just take a few snippets here and there and see where you can post that. Let me see if I can get out of this. Okay, so we have this kind of funny philosophy, or at least I do around here, hashtag never not working. And that doesn't mean you can't ever just not stop working, but be open to finding ideas. Find out what else you could be doing. So you don't necessarily have to chase the trends. You don't have to be on every single social media outlet there is, but you want to evolve with your brand. So look around, observe and ask and adapt. So, like I went to a conference in a best practice ministry conference, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, in Phoenix, Arizona. I networked. That's important. Find out what people are doing. It's a fun trip, but I'm still working to find ideas. Locally in town, I am listening to the radio and I'm listening to what's on TV and I'm hearing what people are saying and I'm in those mom groups and I want to know what people are saying. And so, yeah, maybe I'm not working as I'm like scrolling through my phone, doom scrolling, but that's where some ideas come from. So take those ideas, write them down. If you see one that's like just so good, write it down. I have a running list, an embarrassingly long running list in my phone because that's just who I am. I take a lot of notes, but a whole list of ideas for Green Park. New mottos that we can use in the future, marketing things that we could do that someone else has done. Like we do a coffee social now because I saw another school do it. They aren't even in our state, but we do it now, a parent coffee social, because I saw that and I thought our parents would love that. And guess what? Our parents really do love it. So just, be open to continuous improvement and always be networking. That bottom picture is from a local marketing roundtable meeting that we attend. And it gets us involved in sharing ideas like this, bouncing ideas like this off of other Lutheran schools in our area and just talking about how we can be successful. So for, generally speaking, for marketing, your marketing only cares as much as you do. If you are not willing to put into it, you are not going to get out from it. If you put in passion and drive and you do it with a force and you're willing to adapt and you're willing to change, you will see the benefits. You will reap the benefits. But be open to change. I know I've said it so many times, but truly that is what keeps you going. Keep the things that are working, but be open to change and those ideas that maybe you hear out in the wild or that people give to you. The things you see here are Chalk It Up Day. That's one of those. We didn't do a Give STL Day thing before. It's a thing that St. Louis does that we actually was just yesterday. And we hadn't done it in the past. And we were literally losing out on money. And we came up with an idea for this Chalk It Up concept. And basically it's like a color run through that the kids got to just douse the staff in chalk if we reached our goal on Give STL Day. That was something we'd never done before, but we did it and it's successful and it's now 2 years in and we're still successful with it. Open house, make sure you have clean materials for that. Make sure that your people know that they are able to see year round, like what you guys have available. And I'm just gonna play one more video for you guys. Okay, I play that for you because that was, again, just another simple video I took with my phone, and some teachers sent their videos to me too, but a little compilation. It just shows who we are. We get to post that to Facebook and just reaffirm people's beliefs in us and why we do what we do. And those kids supporting each other in the hallways is always like, it warms my heart every time I see it. They are so excited for their fellow classmates, their friends, to run through the halls and to cheer them on, and truly just to, you know, like have that good sportsmanship and camaraderie among our students. So, you know, that's something else we've posted online, and it just shows the parents, you know, like we are who we say we are, even when you're not around. So I will open it up to questions now. I've talked long enough and I've talked quick enough that probably no one has had a chance to even think about what I've said, so.
Will is checking to see if we have any questions. Thank you, Katie. That was great. Will and I were discussing throughout the whole thing, just how on point and how great that is. Wonderful presentation. And I'll even go by the slides. Know, loved, and valued, even in this presentation, on point in terms of branding. And I think that's a sound message for all of us. Is people need to know who you are and consistently know who you are. And you talked about that a lot, you know, and the fact you can change, you know, some things year to year, like your school theme and some other things, but it's about the constant, you know, just like our schools, the constant is who we are as a Lutheran school, our foundation, and we're unwavering in that. And, you know, that's the same thing in this message, and always be who you are all the time. So, you know, there was a time when I was head of school and it was a Saturday. I have no idea why I was at school, but it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I decided to call it a day. So I was leaving school to head home, and up on our sidewalk comes somebody out of nowhere. And it was happened to be an alum, and they hadn't visited the school for like 25 years or something, you know, and they had a connection with their parents who helped start the school and some other things. So what do? Of course, you know, you show them the school and you talk about the school, and you always have to be ready. It could be a grocery store where somebody asks about it, could be a parade route, could be wherever, but you always have to be ready, and you have to have materials ready. And it is one of the things that I learned from a workshop one time. You know, I thought it was pretty interesting. They brought one of the faculty in and talked about the message, just so that it's consistent. You know what it is, you know the quick pitch, and you know where to point people. So at the end, you point them, in this case to Katie. You say, oh, and here's Katie's, you know, email and number and everything else. And you don't need to go on and on, but quick, concise, and boom, right there, and get them to that next step and be ready for that always. They also invited, you know, parents in, and they had a dinner and they talked about the school, and then they said, and if people, you know, ask you about the school, here's our messaging and here's where you send them. So because you've got you know, hundreds of admissions people out there for you, right? We know one of the best things in terms of pointing people to Lutheran schools, word of mouth. Well, you've got to give them the words for their mouth so that they can provide that to other people when they are asked. And it's I love, you know, the videos and stuff too. We have production capabilities for our messaging all the time in our cell phones that we carry around. And even, you know, again, your teachers, they have cell phones in the classroom. They see something that's really cool that's happening, or something that's going on at campus. Get them ready. Say, get them used to, you know, the ability. Pull out, take a little 30-second video and send it to me. Because that'll help me in my role as admissions and enrollment and getting that message out there. So there's so many things that you can do. And, you know, as Katie said, she is not necessarily a 24/7 admissions person there, but the role is 24/7 if you incorporate the right people. And you get a lot of people in that network and you build it up. I also love what you talked about, you know, always kind of searching and being aware of things that are going on out there. I always have a list of certain schools out there that I'm checking all the time because I know they do good work. So I'm looking to see, hey, what have they changed lately, or what have they posted? I look at their websites, I look at their Facebook pages. You know, I'm still old, so I look at the Facebook page and this whole Instagram stuff I'm trying to catch up to, but I do the same thing. If you were to go to the notes section of my cell phone here, I'm always putting notes down when I travel and I see things, even in airports. You know, sometimes I'll see, hey, that's a really good message that they're putting up there, and I think we can use that in some way as well. So it's just that constant awareness. We in the education field have a great ability to educationally acquire what's going on in other places and utilize it for our work, right? So do so. And I like your discussion too, the differentiator. And, you know, a lot of times in the Lutheran schools, we talk about, okay, what's our differentiator when it comes to us and other schools? And what's our competition? And a lot of times I'll say our competition is us, because if we're on point and we're doing what we need to do, and you know our families are talking about us and telling people who we are and that we're that 24/7 all the time, it doesn't matter. We're doing what we need to do, and the people will recognize that and enroll their students and be part of our community. If we're not doing that, then we wobble. And then other, you know, times, yes, who's our next competition? A lot of times it's the public school system, because they're looking at tuition versus no tuition, even though they're paying for it, right? Property taxes and other things. But that's a lot of times the competition. But know your competition too, and figure out, are we on point? Because if we're not on point, how we try to do other things or compete or differentiate, you might say, well, this really isn't working. A lot of times it's not working because we're not on point. So we have to fix that first, and then we're ready for that next step. And Will and I go a lot of different places. We go to schooldigger.com. We go to Private School Review, some of the other sites, and we take a look at, you know, what other schools have going on in terms of their ratings and information and some other things, just so we get a sense. And it also includes in schooldigger.com public schools.
Yep. That's also the LCEF demographic report. That's always important to be making sure you're getting those every 3 years and just checking it, see what's going on in your area, seeing how you're matching up. And then one other thing I wanted to jump on was I love the idea of trial and error. That's what we should always be looking at whenever we're doing giveaways. That's what we do here in school ministry. You know, sometimes you get a giveaway that people absolutely love and they want more of, and that's great. And then sometimes you have ones that flop, and you know that's probably not the best idea. What I also love about best practice is you get to see what other people are giving away and get those ideas from there. One thing we did here in school ministry that I actually recommend, if it's available in budget, is look at purchasing either a Cricut, vinyl cutter, or a laser engraver. So you can get things in bulk that are not already engraved for you. And if you want to turn that into a class and get the kids involved, it's a great way to do some low cost giveaway items from what you would normally pay. When we looked at it at first, we did stone coasters that people really loved. You know, 4imprint was going to charge us something like $6 per coaster. And the laser engraver, you had the initial cost, but then the coasters themselves, it was like 75 coasters for $20. That's a great return on investment. And then everybody wants them. We keep getting requests all the time. There is one question in chat from Stephanie. Is there something standard from the district that helps train teachers to get on the mission vision train for your school, or is it too school specific?
What are your thoughts, Katie?
Yeah, you know, it is interesting. Quick tidbit: we right before COVID hit, we had a parent who we'll say he had a lot of experience in this department, right? He had been working in public schools a long time and had an idea of how to kind of put together a mission and vision statement. So we worked through it. We had lots of meetings, and then COVID hit. And now 5 years later, we are actively at this very moment working on updating our mission and vision statements. But I know our principal is working really hard. So she is taking a course called Principal 360, and they've talked a lot about that in there. So I am not taking the course, but I've seen, oh, you're in that course with her. Okay. Yeah. So she has had a lot come from that. But also we are an association school. So we have 4 churches affiliated with our school. And the pastors are very involved in that mission and vision, and kind of making that work before we bring it to our staff. So the staff was asked, like, what are some things that we see as valuable, and what do we see that should be in those statements. But it passes first through our principal and myself, our business manager, our executive director, and then the pastors too. So it's kind of a group effort, but a lot of it has come from that Principal 360 portion, at least right now for us. There might be other resources, but that's what I currently know to be true.
Well, I know we have a lot of things from LCMS School Ministry. You want to mention some of those?
Yeah, we've recently, within the last year, developed a strategic visioning document. And right now it's the handbook version of it. And then for $500 through LSCS, our Lutheran School Consulting Service, we can also help assign a consultant. They'll walk you through that document and help work in developing that mission and vision statement as well.
Yeah, so really $500, you talk about money well spent, because obviously that's being underwritten by some grants that we've received in school ministry. Fantastic process where we put a consultant in your school, walk you through what we call the roadmap to success, and really looking at things and analyzing from surveys and other studies to get people on that same page and for clarity of your mission, vision, purpose. And then coming out of it with talking points as well, right? So, and I think sometimes there's the essence of we got to put everything in the kitchen sink, which really isn't the case, right? I mean, you want to be clear, concise, and have it on point so that everybody's able to be rowing in the same direction. The tagline here, known, loved, and valued. Many of our schools use taglines like that to keep the messaging simple, and then allow people to expand on each one, so they know the talking points on each one of those. So and Katie, I don't know if you have that at Green Park, but a lot of times you'll have like the known and then 3 bullet points under that, loved and 3 bullet points, so that when it comes time to expand on each one of those, it, and you also know it. What does that mean to me as a teacher? What does that mean to me as an administrator? What does that mean to me as a parent at the school? What does it mean to me as a student at the school? So you apply it to each one of those constituent groups so that they know that messaging as well. And it's pervasive, right? I mean, that's, again, the foundational items. It's the non-negotiables of our Lutheran schools, and that you put that forth, and that's who you are at all times. So again, great resources. We also have some other videos that we've done, other Zoom sessions that we've done on enrollment and admissions. And in fact, the one last week a little bit talks to some of these things. But yeah, we have all kinds of resources. And we cover this somewhat too in the School Leadership Development SLED program.
A lot of great stuff out there. I think we're about to get kicked out of our room here, so.
All right, well, any last questions for Katie? I mean, obviously incredible resource, very knowledgeable in this area, and it was fantastic to have you share all of this with us, Katie. And I encourage all of you, sometimes when you view this, there's a lot going on at one time. Go back and rewatch it. Make the bookmarks and everything else. You did an outstanding job of covering so much, just great material. And Katie, I think you're putting this up in case anybody wants to reach out to you. Is that right? They should feel free.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, the networking resources and just like being able to bounce ideas off of other people is so valuable. So yeah, if anybody has any questions, anything that I talked about or want me to expand upon, or how we've done what we've done, feel free to reach out, send me an email, give me a call. I'm happy to answer for you.
Awesome. And if you lose that, contact us at School Ministry. We're happy to connect you to Katie as well. So Thank you very much, Katie. Thank you
Thank you.
for everyone joining us today in this Zoom series. And blessings as you go through the next several weeks closing out the school year. God's blessings on all that you do. Have a great day.
Thank you.